Hello, my name's Malcolm Payne and I've been invited by Eccleshall Health and Wellbeing to talk a little bit about my role and to offer a little bit of a brief overview as to how we might be able to combat those winter blues. So it's my absolute pleasure to be talking to you today. I'm a mental health nurse by background and I trained at the University of Worcester where I qualified in 2017. And I then went on to complete a master's degree in Oxford last year. Well, it's estimated that around 2 million people in the UK and more than 12 million across Northern Europe are affected by the winter blues. And that's more formally known and diagnosed as seasonal affective disorder, or SAD for short. And this can affect people of any age. So what are the main symptoms of winter blues or SAD? So SAD is a form of clinical depression that reoccurs around the same time each year, and this typically tends to peak around January and February, so very much this time of year now. So when we suffer with winter blues, we typically have less serotonin in our body, and that's the neurotransmitter which helps us to regulate both our happiness and our mood. So you might also have symptoms of feeling fatigue, lethargy, difficulties with sleep, changes in appetite, which might be poor appetite or overeating. You might also experience some lack of motivation, lack of concentration, or feelings of hopelessness and despair. So how might we be able to beat these winter blues? Well, the good news is that there are a number of things that we can do. And the four main ways that we can beat it is by keeping active, keeping in touch with people, boosting our mood with food, and making sure that we're getting enough exposure to light. So the first one then, keeping active. So the simplest way is to push yourself to stay active, even though we might not feel like it, particularly at this time of year because it's dark or because it's cold outside. Research shows that even as little as a 15-minute walk a day in the middle of the day can increase the crucial neurotransmitters such as dopamine, which helps then to energize the brain and helps regulate our body clock. It's recommended that if you can exercise earlier in the day, that's better than later, but also if you can absorb natural daylight within 2 hours of waking up, this will be even better. Gradually increasing the amount of exercise and building up into a regular routine will show great rewards, as well as walking, any activity that's going to help elevate your mood rate. So whether that's swimming, whether it's running, whether it's jogging, cycling, whether it's aerobics or yoga, anything like that will help to release the endorphins in your body, and that will make a big difference to how you feel, because you'll then move on to feeling as though you have more energy, more concentration, and that will also help your sleep as well. So the second thing that you can do to help boosting your mood is keeping in touch with people. So staying connected with people is another great way to look after your mood. So whether that is families or friends, keeping in touch through text messaging and telephone calls, and wherever possible, try to see people physically in the flesh. We know this isn't always possible, particularly because of geography or availability, and at the moment people might also be shielding. So the next best thing is staying in touch with people via FaceTime or WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, or even arranging a Zoom call or setting up a Microsoft Teams account so we can check in with everybody. And doing that virtually is still better than not having that contact at all. So really important to stay connected with people. The next way is boosting your mood with food. Now, we all like a treat now and again, and most of us probably have still got some chocolates or some snacks left in the house after Christmas. But we obviously do need to be mindful that we need to take care with carbohydrates and sugars. So we need to remember that reaching out for that familiar biscuit tin or reaching out for those bags of crisps still at the back of the cupboard are going to give us a short burst of energy, but this doesn't tend to last for very long. And it's often then followed by a bit of a slump in energy, and also that results in a little bit of a dip in mood as well. So think about planning your meals ahead of the weekly shop. That's really good because it means that you can ensure that you're buying the right ingredients for a healthy and balanced diet. And also, if you're buying less snacks, it means there's less in the house, so there's less temptation. It's also really important that we're eating enough protein in our diet and that we're getting plenty of fresh fruit and vegetables. Remember, we also lack vitamin D this time of year because there's less sunlight. So you might also want to think about boosting your diet for vitamin D with things like oily fish, such as salmon, or even you might want to think about having some vitamin D supplements. The other thing that we can do to help combat the winter blues is making sure that we're getting enough light. So some people might have thought of light therapy and find it helpful to be sat in front of a light box every day for about half an hour. Interestingly, light boxes have been shown to be highly effective as they can give out up to 10 times as much light stronger than the normal lighting that we have at home or in the office at work. And this extra exposure to light works by boosting our serotonin levels. So if you don't have a light box, think about whether the bulbs you have at home in your lamps and your light fittings, are they bright enough? Or could you get some bulbs with a stronger wattage? You might also want to think about leaving a set of plain Christmas lights out from Christmas and use them to drape around inside a clear vase or draping them over some branches into a pot to add some extra light or coziness. The other thing that might help is lighting candles in your lounge when it starts to get dark, particularly scented varieties, because these also appeal to the rest of your senses and they will also help lift your mood. You could also check whether your curtains or blinds have been pulled back fully during the day, or also thinking about, do some of our trees or bushes need a bit of a trim or cut back outside, or does the window need a bit of a clean? Anything like that you can do that's going to help bring in as much light as you can into your room is going to be helpful. So clearly there's lots of things that we can do to help regulate our mood and to protect our mental health, but sometimes medication may be needed, particularly if symptoms are very severe. So I hope that whistle-stop tour, a little bit about my role and how we might be able to look at tackling and combating those winter blues has been helpful. But obviously if either myself or my colleagues at the surgery can be of any further help, then please do contact us at the Crown and arrange an appointment to see us or speak to us. So thank you very much for your time today and the opportunity to join you all virtually. Wishing you all the very best for you and your families and the new year ahead. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.